This is the AEW Dynamite May 21, 2025 full show results video, which takes place at Albuquerque, New Mexico's Rio Rancho Events Center. The show opens with Toni Schiavone in the ring to introduce first Hangman Adam Page and then Will Ospreay. Ospreay starts, saying he understands why they prepared security, but he's not getting physical, and he asks Page if he's gonna get physical, and when he gets a no, he asks security to leave them be. Will says he's out here to petition Tony Khan and the board of directors for their match to be the main event on Sunday. Not only does the winner get the beautiful Owen Hart Memorial Cup and go on to All in Texas, the winner has the responsibility to bring back the AEW World Championship. He wants to wear the belt with pride, show it around the world, and most importantly, he wants to bring it home. August 24th, AEW presents Forbidden Door in London, an arena 30 minutes from his home. Page says that's the difference between the two of them and will continue to be the difference. Will wants it, and he wants it bad, and Adam knows that because he's lived it, and he knows that Ospreay understands that there is no prize grander, no greater honor than to be the AEW World Champion. In 2 years he hasn't won a tournament, a championship, and the one thing he did win brought him nothing but the same. He needs his wife to look at him without pity, to see the man she fell in love with those years ago, for his kids to look up to him to see the father they deserve, and for the people who have supported him when he deserved at least, to see that he's the kind of man they thought he was. Will says he doesn't know what it takes, he's wrestled John twice and lost, but Page has done it, so he asks him to show him, to bring that fire, bring that animal, because he knows that if he beats Hangman, he can bring it back. Will says when that bell rings, he knows anything can happen, and he wants to look Adam in the eye and tell him that if it's him, he's happy for him, and if it's him, if he needs a friend and someone to watch his back, he's got him. And he hopes the same goes for him if Page wins, that if he wins, Hangman will have his back. Ospreay goes back to his beer and picks it up and says he's saying on Sunday he'll meet him in the desert, he's calling him out for a shootout. Will drinks the rest of his beer and does a little Triple H spit with it, and Adam drinks the rest of his without wasting a drop. They walk up to the stage and the Owen Hart Cup on the stage together and square up for the photo op. John Moxley appears outside on the Tron, stretching his neck before walking into the arena with Marina Shaffer in tow. He says tension are rising and the spoils will go to those who embrace the anarchy, and makes his way to the arena and his entrance. Then we saw a match between John Moxley and Young Bucks versus Swerve Strickland and the Ops, and the result of this match was Swerve Strickland and the Ops won the match by pinfall with a victory roll from Strickland on Matthew Jackson. Post-match, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta hit the ring to beat Joe up. Katsuyori Shibata evens the odds for the Ops. Then Willow Nightingale comes down to take Marina Shaffer out with the pounce. They brawl on the floor and Kenny Omega comes rushing down, dragon suplexes for Yuta and Castagnoli both, catch a kick from Matthew, dragon suplex for him too. V-Trigger connects, Kenny calls for it but Swerve tells him to wait and he gets a table out. He and Joe set it up, Omega throws Matthew out to the apron, electric chair, but Claudio pulls Matthew off him bodily to make the save. Samoa Joe gets on the mic and says a sane man would wait for the weekend, but he's not sane and he doesn't give a shit, he's coming after them tonight in Albuquerque, like it or not. The Hurt Syndicate are interviewed backstage about the addition of a fourth member and MVP throws it to Maxwell Jacob Friedman to talk about how excited he is, and he comes in with a god-awful gaudy suit stoked about joining the Hurt business. It's fist bumps all around and Max thanks both Smart Mark Sterling and the Hurt Syndicate lawyer. Back from the commercial, the ring is set up for the induction of a fourth into the Hurt Syndicate, and the Hurt Syndicate make their entrance and MVP gets on the mic. He informs us this is an official announcement and a very special night as they officially induct the fourth member into the Hurt Syndicate. Maxwell Jacob Friedman makes his entrance, flanked by Smart Mark Sterling. He says this reminds him of when he was a young little lad and his mother sat him down and said the most important day of your life is when you marry the love of your life, and now that he's older and wiser he can say the dumb bitch never joined the Hurt Syndicate. Friedman asks Sterling to explain the legalese and he says according to the agreement they drew up with the Hurt business lawyer, Max will sign first and then the three members of the Hurt Syndicate and it'll be official. MJF signs, his MVP signs, Shelton Benjamin checks in with his lawyer first but he signs too and he passes the pen to Bobby Lashley. Lashley holds the pen and scratches his head for a second, takes a deep breath and picks the contract up to examine it before saying something to Shelton. They have a side conversation with the lawyer briefly, Montel joins the discussion, and Bob puts pen to paper, then MJF puts on a Hurt Syndicate hat and says this is the greatest moment of his life, and then comes Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. Dusty says, he and Sammy are day one guys and 6 years ago they did something special at Double or Nothing, changing the wrestling landscape in one unforgettable night. Now, 6 years later, they have an opportunity to get more gold to add to their undefeated ROH World Tag Team Championship reign. He tells Bobby and Shelton to look him in the eyes while he speaks to them and says word going around the block is they like to hurt people. Well, jump on him and hurt him, he dares you. MVP tells him to be careful what he wishes for, and Rhodes says there's nothing they can do that bigger and better monsters haven't already done. You can't touch their work ethic, and if he were a betting man, he'd bet on the day one guys. They'll see them at Double or Nothing. Okada is interviewed backstage and asked if he has an official response to Speedball Mike Bailey. He says he does. Renee prompts him to share what that is, and he says as AEW Continental Champion he gets to call the shots, and Speedball doesn't get to call him out, he calls Speedball out, and he'll show them why he's Continental Champion. Renee points out that Speedball is undefeated and Okada says there's a first time for everything. Then next match happened between Anthony Bowens vs Ricochet, and the result of this match was Ricochet defeated Anthony Bowens by pinfall with spear gun. Post-match, Ricochet poses on the stage and berates the crowd only for Mark Briscoe to roll up behind him with a stretcher. Briscoe rams him in the gut with the stretcher and clobbers him with right hands. Setting him on the stretcher, Mark wheels him down, stabilizes him with some punches, up top but Ricochet rolls off the stretcher and runs away. Back from the commercial, Stokely Hathaway is backstage with FTR and he has a contract for their Double or Nothing tag team match against Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness, and they could sign it right now via email, but instead they're gonna do something special because they want to look their opponents in the eyes first, and they can even bring Daddy Magic along to have the honor of seeing Nigel sign the last contract of his wrestling career live on TBS tomorrow night. Renee Paquette is in the ring to introduce Jamie Hayter and Mercedes for their face-to-face. Jamie starts by saying every person sat here tonight and watching at home helped mold her into just that, and this means more to her than it does Mercedes, and they both know that. This isn't about a title shot anymore, it's about not being forgotten, and when the bell rings and the confetti falls, if it's not her, what does that mean for Jamie Hayter? As always, her back is against the wall, and she laces up the boots and hits bloody hard, because that's the embodiment of who she is. Mercedes says she's more than just a champion, she's a revolution, the Beyoncé of women's wrestling, and she's not looking past her, she's looking straight through her like the glass doll that she is. Her destiny is her reality, and her reality is that she's going to All In Texas and becoming AEW Women's World Champion. She's the greatest TBS champion of all time, and she rattles off some statistics to prove it, saying she didn't get there by luck but by hard work and dedication. So at Double or Nothing, she's gonna show Jamie why she's the CEO, because it's about more than just winning, it's about leaving her legacy. So she wants Hayter to bring her best and be the fighter she says she is, and Double or Nothing isn't where her story begins, but where her chapter ends. Hayter asks the crowd if they notice that Mercedes is looking lighter. Something's missing and she can't put a finger on it. Oh wait, she lost the NJPW Strong Women's Championship, and she thinks Mercedes' destiny is to lose everything. Mercedes blasts her with a cheap shot and beats her down as Renee Paquette flees the ring. Mercedes with a handful of hair, Jamie blocks the punch and Haterade connects. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between Julia Hart versus Mina Shirakawa, and the result of this match was Mina Shirakawa defeated Julia Hart by pinfall with a seatbelt pin. Post-match, Shirakawa taunts in Toni Storm's general direction but Hart blindsides her. Mina overcomes, spinning toehold into the figure 4 leg lock, but Sky Blue makes the save. Mounted punches on Mina, Storm gets up and slides inside and pulls Blue off of Shirakawa and snaps off a German suplex flatfoot in fishnets. Toni and Mina team up briefly to send Julia packing with strikes, and Shirakawa grabs the AEW Women's World Championship from the apron and holds it up in front of Storm. Toni grabs it, a tug of war ensues and Mina shoves her back. Dragon screw on the champion, pulling her out to corner, and applied ring post figure 4 leg. Storm is screaming agony and referee begs Mina to let go, and finally she lets go and Luther check on Toni. Renee Paquette is backstage trying to interview the Young Bucks, and they don't have time for this, they have a flight to catch. Matthew Jackson reminds us of Samoa Joe's promise to get them and calls him a liar, so of course Joe comes out from behind a curtain and wallops Jackson with a trash can. Powerhouse Hobbs is also here, they walk and brawl, the Death Riders join the fray and Willow Nightingale evens the odds. Deeper into the arena, Shane Strickland, Katsuyori Shibata, and Kenny Omega join the fight too. Out on the stage, the brawl continues. Claudio Castagnoli picks up a big spotlight on the stage but decides against it. Shibata puts a trash can on Wheeler Yuta and hammers him with kendo stick shots. Young Bucks have Omega in the ring, connects BTE trigger, they hoist Ken up, he slips out and throws one Buck into another. Facebreaker into the ropes, Swerve joins him and takes the other Buck out. The trigger house call combo, Coquina clutch chokes Moxley out but Gabe Kid makes the save and jumps the barricade. Mounted punches on Omega, the Bucks go and get a table and Swerve ends up on it. Omega on another table and both men go through their tables. Hobbs gets squashed with the steel steps and the heels stand tall, and the show goes off the air. How much you would rate this week's Dynamite show? Tell me in the comments, and thanks for watching.